Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's that time of the week again. It's Premier League predictions time. Another round of Premier League fixtures is almost upon us, and it's a big week this week because not only is there Premier League action for us to feast our eyes upon, but there are also a Carabao Cup final for us to sink our teeth into as well. And that's why there are still 8 games on the agenda. It's not the full 10 games that you're used to. Tottenham get the weekend off, and obviously Luton play Liverpool tonight, so they're technically getting the weekend off as well a little bit. So, but there's still plenty of football for us to sink our teeth into and to feast our eyes upon that will make for an exciting and intriguing weekend of Premier League action. Before we get into all of the talking and analysing and predicting of the games, though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always are greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage you lot to get involved down below in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think each and every single Premier League game will go this weekend. Would love to hear from you all on that. But without further ado, let's kick things off and let's start with the opening game of the weekend. Aston Villa taking on Nottingham Forest. Now, I've gone with an Aston Villa win here, 2-1 to Villa. I think their home form, as well as the overall play and style of Unai Emery, will see them through here. We know that Villa have been very strong at home this season. We know that Forest are not exactly great away from home, but they are improving in terms of performances under their new manager, Nuno Espirito Santo. He seems to be getting the ball rolling there, and he seems to be getting something out of them each and every single week. And of course, last week, a big 2-0 win over West Ham was much needed for Forest. They'll be looking to build upon it here, but I just don't think they'll have enough in the defensive areas to keep out what should be a very sharp and attacking Aston Villa side, particularly when they are at home. So it could be interesting. We know that earlier on in the season, Forest did actually upset the odds and beat Aston Villa in the reverse fixture of this, but I just think Villa this time around will get their revenge. And I think with them being at home, that's going to only add to the occasion and add to Villa's case for winning this one here. So 2-1 to Villa is what I've gone for in the opening game of the weekend's round of Premier League action. What we got next? We've got Brighton taking on Everton, and I've gone with a 3-1 win to Brighton. Now, it seems pretty comfortable for Brighton, and I would strongly predict it may be, but of course we have to consider the other side of things as well. And obviously this isn't going to be an easy game of football by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think in the end it will prove to be comfortable. I think as soon as Brighton, if Brighton are to get an early goal especially, this one could be pretty easy for Brighton. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to Everton in the slightest. I do think it could be a very intriguing game of football between two sides that are very contrasting in styles. You've got Brighton that want to get the ball down and play some nice and attractive football. You've got Everton that will look to play more quickly and directly on the counter-attack, as well as use some of their bigger players for set pieces and things of that nature. So it could make for an interesting battle in terms of that contrasting style on the pitch. However, with obviously the way that the two teams go, with obviously Brighton being Brighton, I strongly would expect Brighton to get the job done against Everton here and to get the 3 points. And I think that's why I've gone with a 3-1 victory in favour of the Seagulls and Roberto De Zerbi's side. So for them to keep the ball rolling on their season. Next up, Crystal Palace against Burnley, and it's a new era starting at Selhurst Park this one, as Oliver Glasner is going to be taking charge of his first Crystal Palace game and his first game in the Premier League since obviously being appointed as the new Palace manager on Monday. He was in the stands watching Palace's 1-1 draw with Everton on Monday night, but now he takes charge of his first game, and I think that given the Selhurst Park crowd and given the new manager bounce, that's why I've gone with a 2-1 win for Palace here. Again, not a foregone conclusion, and I have said time and time again that Burnley do play some good stuff. It's just that they lack the key cutting edge in the attacking third to score plenty of goals, and they lack quality and calmness and a sort of somewhat unity at times defensively to keep out some stupid goals as well. And that's why I think Palace will get the job done. I think they'll be given the extra incentive and the slightest edges, not only being at home with the Crystal Palace faithful, I'm sure will be excited and intrigued by the sign of a new era, a new manager, something that they've been crying out for a while, but also, of course, the new manager bounce, which seems to obviously throw a bit of a spanner in the works for the opposing team time and time again. So that's why I've gone with a Palace win. I think Palace will win this game by 2-1 and certainly get the ball rolling under the new regime and new management and new era at Selhurst Park with Oliver Glasner. Next up, Old Trafford awaits Manchester United's battle with Fulham, and I've gone with a 2-0 win to Manchester United here. I just can't see this ending any other way other than a Man United win. Now, that's not to say that United have been exactly clinical. Well, sorry, I'll say that again. That's not to say that Man United in recent weeks have been entirely faultless. They haven't been perfect in recent weeks. They've been scraping through certain games and they've been relying a little bit of luck, a little bit of their match winners and their quality players winning them particular games. Last week against Luton, for example, Luton were all over them for the majority of the game after they went to go 2-0 up. And if Luton maybe had a bit more quality in the final third, maybe it could have been a different story. But they are still getting the results when they matter most. And obviously after what has been a very up and down, inconsistent, yo-yo-y type of season for Manchester United, that's all you can really hope for right now, and is that this side picks up a bit of form and maybe can challenge for top 4 at the end of the campaign. Maybe get some sort of light in what has otherwise been a very dark season for Manchester United. Now, in terms of this game, look, Fulham are awkward. Fulham are weird. Fulham will turn up one week, they won't turn up for the next few, they'll turn up again, and then they won't turn up again for the next few. They're very inconsistent, they're very weird. But I just think with the form that Rasmus Højlund's in, I think that with the match winners that United will obviously have on display that can turn up in an instant, I just give United the edge in this one. Plus, they're at home. I can't see it happening any other way other than a Man United win. It won't be comfortable, it won't be pretty, but I still think United will get the job done because of the clinical edge that they have up front. Rasmus Højlund is in the form of his career so far, doing absolutely incredible. Some of us did back him right from the beginning, myself included, unfortunately. Obviously, it pains me being a Liverpool fan, but I actually did back him. But yeah, I think that the clinical edge will just give the edge to Manchester United, and that's why I see them winning by 2-0 and beating Fulham in that kind of way. Next up, Bournemouth against Manchester City. I don't think we have to spend too much time on this. 3-0 win for City is what I've gone for. Look, nothing's ever a foregone conclusion, and if City do take their eye off the ball here, it could be a bit of a banana skin fixture for them. But I don't see it happening. I see City winning this game by 3-0. Haaland getting on the score sheet. City being pretty comfortable for the majority of the game. Again, I do feel like it's one of those results where as soon as City get one goal, the floodgates will open and they'll absolutely stroll to victory in this one. That's not to say that Bournemouth are extremely poor. We know that obviously under their new manager, he's been pretty solid throughout most of the campaign. Bournemouth actually been pretty strong. They play some good football at times. They just lack quality in key moments, in key areas to really put teams to the sword. And against this kind of team of Manchester City, you're not really expecting to win anyway. But yeah, I just feel that City will get an early goal and will go on and get the victory and ultimately put Bournemouth to the sword, in all honesty. So 3-0 win for Manchester City is what I've gone for here. We're going to skip ahead a little bit and move on to Sunday's games. Well, I say games, the only game we have on Sunday in the Premier League at least is between Wolves and Sheffield United. So another Midlands clash here is what awaits us. And I've gone with a 3-1 victory in favour of Wolves. Now, I like what Gary O'Neill's doing. I think he's done a brilliant job since being thrown at the deep end right at the beginning of the season at Molineux for the Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I see them picking up another win here. They had a big win last weekend against Tottenham. I just see Wolves, with the way that they're playing, with the confidence that's brewing, it's going to be a big win for them again. It's going to be another big win for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Again, not a foregone conclusion. We know that Sheffield United are battling for their lives down there. And we know that obviously Chris Wilder's occasionally thrown a bit of a spanner in the works as well, with obviously winning a couple of games here and there, and maybe a couple of games that we maybe didn't expect them to get anything out of. And, you know, as the season draws on, we know that obviously that's going to happen more and more, where the relegation teams are going to be battling more and more so for their lives, and there's going to be that extra incentive of the fear of relegation kicking in. So they may actually play better than what we've perceived them to do for the majority of this season, and it could make for obviously intriguing viewing. I just see Wolves winning this game. They're stronger, they play better football, and you know, when their strikers do turn up, they are clinical enough to obviously give them give them the incentive to win this game. So I've gone with a 3-1 victory to Wolves. Big game for both of these sides, but one that I think Gary O'Neill's side can come out of on top. Monday's game, we'll see a London derby of sorts. We've got West Ham taking on Brentford at the London Stadium. I've gone with a 2-1 win to the Bees here. I just see an attacking incentive from Brentford in terms of Ivan Toney being back. He's shown some good form. They may not have been picking up the results, have Brentford, but Ivan Toney has certainly been in amongst the goals and in amongst the good run of form since obviously his return from that big long ban and suspension. They come up against the West Ham side that are not in the best of form. They are in a poor run of form. They're conceding plenty of goals. I think they've conceded like 11 goals in the last 3 games, which is extremely poor. They lost to Nottingham Forest last time out. I think they're on a very poor run of form. Being at home could give them the incentive to go on and win this game. And again, I'm not entirely confident with this result or with this prediction, to be honest. I could see West Ham winning it. I could also see a draw happening. But I've gone with Brentford simply for the reason that I think they'll like to take advantage of a West Ham side that are very poor. You've got a West Ham side that will look to counter-attack. You've got a Brentford side who are also very dangerous on the counter-attack as well. It could make for an interesting game. It could make for a very intriguing game of football, this one. One that I'm sure will make for interesting viewing on Monday night. Even though it may not be the 2 flashiest names in the Premier League, I still think you could be in for a big treat in this one. I've gone with a 2-1 win to the Bees. Again, not entirely confident, but I think that with the likes of Ivan Toney up front, I think Brentford will get the job done over David Moyes' side. And that could leave David Moyes in some serious hot water, by the way. I know that despite the fact that they've been quite high in the table for the majority of the campaign so far, I know that obviously with them having some really good results here and there across this season, they're looking pretty good. But West Ham fans still want him out, and it's sort of understandable, I guess, to an extent, but I just feel like another loss here could really tip the scales even more so of the pressure side of things onto him. And yeah, it may not be pretty if Brentford do get the 3 points on Monday night. So definitely one to look out for there. And finally, and what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this weekend's Premier League round of action. It comes from the Emirates Stadium, in which Arsenal will take on Newcastle, and I've gone with a 3-1 win to Arsenal. We all know what happened last time these two teams met. We all know that Arsenal and Newcastle battled to a 1-0 Newcastle win in very controversial circumstances, in which we all know about the Gabriel push. Was the ball in or out? That kind of thing. We don't need to go over that again. It's been well documented and well told and retold so many times. But I just feel that this time around, Arsenal will get the job done. I'm expecting an intriguing and exciting battle anyway. But I just think with the recent form of both of these sides, with Arsenal dispatching teams left, right and centre, I think with them actually getting more goals on the board than I've actually had my worries about them, because obviously I've questioned their strike force a number of times and how clinical it is and how much of a killer they have up front. They've actually been scoring plenty of goals in recent weeks. Very well played to Arsenal. I still have certain reservations, particularly in big games. It's alright dispatching teams like Sheffield United and Burnley and Crystal Palace by the 4, 5, 6, whatever goals it is. The West Hams as well, 6 goals. But can you do it against the bigger teams that are actually doing, or are actually solid, actually doing well this season, actually strong? That's my query and that's my question. Newcastle haven't exactly had the season like they did have in the last campaign, but they're still going pretty strong and they still are a very tough nut to crack. Will this be a big statement laid down by Arsenal here? I don't, because a lot of the mainstream media are sort of ignoring and passing over Arsenal as not being serious enough contenders. And I've always said that they are contenders. I just don't think that they will win the league. I still think City are the favourites, even though City did drop points last week. I still think City have enough left in the tank and enough based on history to suggest that they will go on and win the Premier League title this season. This could be a massive statement for Arsenal if they are not only to go on and win the game, but they are to dominate and do so in a very comfortable fashion. Now, I'm not saying they'll do it. I'm not saying it will be easy for them. I still expect Eddie Howe's side to put up a lot of fight, and I think that, particularly on the counter-attack, they could be very, very lethal to that Arsenal back line. But I still think Arsenal will win. I still think they'll get revenge on what happened earlier this season. I still think they'll dispatch Newcastle with a few goals. And overall, I see them putting pressure on the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City. I know City will play before them. I know Liverpool have already played their game, so this is going to be like their game in hand for Arsenal. But they will still keep the pressure on Liverpool in this sort of catch Liverpool if you can scenario, depending on obviously on what happens tonight when Liverpool play Luton. That has to be the caveat here. Liverpool are playing Luton tonight at the time of recording, so a lot can probably happen between now and then. But obviously Arsenal, Newcastle, I still would expect Arsenal, regardless of whichever way that result goes tonight, to finish in the way that Arsenal will get the 3 points and win by 3-1, keeping the pressure on those two teams. And I'm very much expecting a very exciting game of football between two very good footballing sides. And there you have it. That is the end of this Premier League predictions video. These are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, mainly though predictions of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the games that are coming up this weekend? And another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League action, Premier League football. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think each and every single game will go this weekend. Let me know down below in the comment section. Would love to hear from you all, and I'm sure, like I said, they'll make for great and interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I'll see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again very, very soon.